The whiskey brand Jack Daniel's has been dominating the market for the past 150 years. It's one company that is loved by all whiskey lovers throughout the world, or at least where it's legal. However, other than the fact that their whiskey is top-notch, Jack Daniel's has also done some things they would rather not have people know about. Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to take a look at the untold truth of Jack Daniel's. Shocking! Number 5. A slave was involved in the inception of the company. One thing about the most iconic brand of whiskey ever is that an actual slave was involved in its creation. When Jack Daniel, the actual person, was just a kid, he got himself a job working for a whiskey distilling preacher by the name of Dan Cali in the mid-19th century. This was where Daniel learnt all the tricks of the trade. But wait, this might be what is taught to us in the history books. However, most of us are aware that history books can be rather deceptive at times. A more accurate story of how Jack Daniel's whiskey came into being is that it wasn't Cali who taught the young Daniel how to make whiskey, but instead it was one of his slaves, his name being Nathan Green. Sure, this fact wasn't exactly kept hidden, but it wasn't until recently that the company gave Nathan Green the credit he deserved. According to Jack Daniel's official website, after Daniel bought Cali's distillery, he hired Nathan to act as the head distiller, granting him the title of the Master Distiller. Number 4. The secret behind its distinctive flavor. Jeff Arnett, who's the master distiller at Jack Daniel's Distillery in Tennessee, is perhaps the most knowledgeable individual when it comes to the company's inner workings. In an interview with Thrillist, Arnett was questioned about something lingering in the mind of everyone fond of Jack Daniel's whiskey. Just what was the reason behind its distinctive flavor? There's this technique known as charcoal mellowing, in which whiskey is filtered through unique, handmade charcoal. It takes the whiskey around a few days to move through the charcoal and come out of the other end. In the words of Arnett, it actually brings out the sweetness in the corn. Arnett believes that charcoal mellowing can do in a few days what it would take a charred barrel to do in years. However, it's not like Arnett doesn't believe that leaving whiskey in a barrel to age isn't an important part of whiskey making. There's no other thing, in terms of flavor and color, that's as important as the barrel, he said. Number 3. Jack Daniel's was absolutely adored by Frank Sinatra. People who are familiar with Frank Sinatra and who he was as an individual are aware of his fondness for whiskey. The legendary singer's favorite brand was none other than Jack Daniel's. In 1955, Sinatra even went on stage with a glass of Jack Daniel's in his hand, referring to it as the nectar of the gods. The credit of taking Jack Daniel's from a small-time whiskey brand to a household name pretty much goes to Sinatra's love for their whiskey. Even Jeff Arnett agrees with that, explaining how Sinatra made their company a pop culture icon. Jack Daniel's appreciated Sinatra so much that they made sure there was always a case of their whiskey in the singer's dressing room. If you're still doubting Sinatra's love for Jack Daniel's, then know that when he was buried, one of the things he was laid to rest with was a bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey. Before we continue, make sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying it. Also press the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. Now let's get back to what we were talking about. Number 2. The company makes its own barrels. Most whiskey brands get their barrels from someplace else. Not Jack Daniel's though. The company is so dedicated to their craft that they make their own barrels, made in such a way that they perfect their beverages in a way a local barrel never could. The barrels are handmade. They're made from American white oak and are put together without any glue or even nails. Instead, it's made by putting 33 wood staves together that hold the structure together, which then goes through intense pressure, extracting the trace amounts of sugar present in the wood and also making the barrel solid. Also, Jack Daniel's does not use the same barrels twice. They're sold to other distillers once the company is done with them. Number 1. The bizarre death of Jack Daniel's. Not a lot of people know about the strange circumstances the founder of Jack Daniel's, Jack Daniel, died under. From what we know, he went to his office one day to get something which was kept in his safe. When he couldn't remember the combination required to open the safe, Jack lost his temper and kicked it, injuring his toe. That very injury went on to become an infection that spread over his entire foot. Unfortunately for Jack, his foot got gangrene and had to be amputated. That wasn't the end of it. The infection didn't stop there, and Jack's entire leg had to be cut off. He succumbed to complications which arose from the initial toe infection and died at the age of 61. This entire ordeal apparently started with just a simple kick out of frustration. How crazy is that? What's more crazy is during that time, infections were dealt with using alcohol, so Jack could have just put some of his own whiskey on his toe and possibly avoiding dying, but well, he didn't. This brings us to the end of our video. Here was a look at the shocking, untold truth about Jack Daniels.